and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture, joined by Michael Sidgwick from WhatCulture, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete. A very good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Michael Sidgwick to review last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming. Thoughts?
If I had to use one word to describe this episode, generally, it would be inoffensive.
Right.
There was nothing really that offended me. But then there was one absolutely awesome match that I'm really, really looking forward to analysing deeply. Not deeply, but big picture.
Yeah.
There's a direction I kind of really need to see stemming from it. Elsewhere, some matches didn't really meet my expectations. The big picture stuff in AEW continues to just not be that hot. There were two things on this show that actually were offensive in terms of when are you going to just get it? Get it. Come on, please, get it. Like two really throwaway things that if everything was on fire in Tony Khan, who I maintain at his best is or was an excellent booker and storyteller. As a promoter, he just doesn't have the stuff and maybe never did. And there are two glaring examples of just throwaway little moments that add up to this sort of numbing feeling that not many people in AEW resonate as stars. Yeah. And we'll get to those in due course. What were your thoughts on it?
It's fine. I struggle to feel stuff at the moment for
Same.
AEW
That's
Dynamite.
the ultimate thing, isn't it?
Such a weird sensation having, like you said, lived through that thing of like, oh, it's Thursday morning. That's the longest time till the next AEW show. To now just be like, oh, it's Dynamite. There it is. Like, great to see Toni Storm back, obviously, and we'll talk more about that in due course. And I think I know which match you're alluding to. But in the last year or so, I've never had AEW, aside from All In, which we were lucky enough to attend, I've never had anything just sort of wash over me as much. Where I'm just like,
Yeah. Get to 2025. Half of World's End could be great. There are certain C2 matches left. That could be great.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to the novelty as much as the content of the Hammerstein ballroom shows.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to certain things just ending.
Yeah.
But we'll get to them.
The show opened
It's not going to be all miserable. There's one thing that ruled on the show.
The show opened with the Death Riders, Mox and Pac versus Orange Cassidy and Switchblade Jay White. Although the match didn't start for about the first 5 minutes because they just brawl on the outside. Cassidy gets sent crashing into the steps eventually. We get in there, and early on we get a blind tag from Pac, who cuts off a Cassidy dive with a pump kick. Mox hits a back suplex onto the announce desk, which leaves Cassidy all isolated. The Patriarchy are watching from one of the suites. More on Christian Cage in a bit. White, though, makes the hot tag, spikes both Pac and Moxley, and screams he's got Mox's number as we go to a break. When we come back, Mox slides out of beach break, but not a PK.
It kind of took ages to take that.
Pac jumps in. He gets hit with a spinning DDT. Cassidy jumps up top and hits Moxley with a diving DDT for a nice near fall. He really fires up here. Cassidy hits a spinning DDT on Moxley, tries another one on Pac, who blocks it but gets hit with the Stundog Millionaire into a sleeper suplex from Jay Watt. Moxley misses a charge, gets hit with beach break for another nice 2 count. The crowd are loving this. Yuta tries to run distraction. Shafir tries to triple Cassidy, shoves her out to the floor. Orange punch to both Yuta and Mox. He's setting up to finish off Jon Moxley when, oh no, here comes Hangman Page. He can't hold himself back anymore. He tackles Mox and it's a DQ.
I've used this weird metaphor before, but it's very, very apt in a lot of AEW matches now, the crowds being the way they are. Look, it's one of those 4,000, nothing to sniff at for a number 2.
Yeah.
In an 18,000 capacity arena. So you did have that 2024 AEW effect, for lack of a better phrase. But that analogy that I've taken to using of, you got a pack of matches, you open the box, you get a match, you go along the strip, and so often the blunt bit and just nothing happens. And then you get the spark and the odd near fall. And it's like, it just doesn't really catch a blaze. And that was another way of describing this match. And frankly, I'll probably use it again for one of the other matches on the show. There were two tells in this match that if I was starting to get a little bit drawn closer to the screen, that match is starting to get the spark where I'm prepared to sort of like fold my arms and just wait for nothing to happen. The two tells are, one, they pan to Christian Cage and then the patriarchy filters out and you're thinking, right, well, I was waiting for them to appear for the finish. That turned out to be Red Herring, and Hangman Page came in. Like a really artless way to do it. Increasingly, Hangman Page is losing that edge of this total unhinged firebrand who is just an agent of chaos and is completely lost in his own mind. I don't know if it's the character work or it's a difficult character in general to do for a long time.
Yeah, to maintain.
To maintain that sort of bug-eyed intensity at the rawest, deepest feeling every single week. So that's lost its magic a little bit. This just felt like such a mundane way to not do a finish. The other tell, I don't blame him at all. And there is such a thing as someone being too good or too good at something. We've talked about it before. MJF's too good at wrestling to the point where he likes to kind of show off a little bit. I'll just do an Ospreay match. It's like, it's not really you, but fair play, you can do it. Pac is too good at selling the DDT so that when he does a regular DDT bump just on his forehead and doesn't contrive to like look like he's literally bending over backwards in this physically impossible position. When he doesn't do that, you know it's because he's thinking in the back of his mind, why waste that bump? We're just going to a non-finish.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw Pac not sell the DDT in that incredible way of his, I thought, oh, we're not getting a finish here, or it's going to be unsatisfactory, or it's weird. It's harsh, insensitive to describe the professional wrestler who bumps for a living as phoning something in, but clearly they knew that this wasn't going to really amount to anything, and it was just a backdrop to set up a four-way. So I didn't really think much of it, if I'm being blunt.
Yeah, I'm going to sort of merge what happened with Mox's promo and in post-match here because there's a nice Bandito thing I want to talk about. We'll talk about that separately because Cassidy goes to pull Page off. Page throws a punch, the spikes on. White gets involved with Hangman Page. Cassidy goes for the orange punch on Hangman Page, but Page ducks and he hits Jay White with it. Page does get dropped by Cassidy. White recovers. Cassidy gets hit with a Blade Runner. They're all slowly recovering and arguing. And obviously the Death Riders are going to kick the rear, so that's there. Barely even 50% here. And yeah, they lay them all out and leave through the crowd. And following this Bandito segment, but then the Death Riders are backstage. Jon Moxley said he's a marked man and heavy as the head that wears the crown. It's the only way to live, with a knife to your throat. He wouldn't have it any other way. Everyone's all about their ego, wanting the next title shot. Their egos run their lives and run all Elite Wrestling. He's yelling, his veins are popping out.
So good at something bad.
Very fired up, yeah.
Yeah.
But none of this is about Moxley, so he's going to give them early Christmas gift. World's End, Fatal 4-Way.
I don't know why he's saying fatal in front of that.
I was astonished. I immediately thought of you. I was like, that's not what you say.
Yeah, I mean, the dude was in the system for so long that you can forgive the odd, it was a hiccup. It's fine, really.
Unless someone actually has to die, and then it is a fatal 4-way.
But the worst thing is, it's pretty plausible in AEW now. You can kill someone off now. People try to kill other people all the time.
They are the Death Riders.
It's ridiculous. Here's something. What was I going to say here? I know that it was imperfect. I know that anyone watching, thank you, listening, thank you, is kind of bored of me saying this at this point. under the ranking system, which can never be perfect nor ever was perfect, you still give yourself a set of rules and principles so you don't end up with main event matches like this. Off the top of my head, they've done a 3-way, but it worked brilliantly. Omega was champion.
Yep.
Cassidy and Pac were 3 and 4, but like pretty much inseparable, tied. Page was number 2, but lost to Brian Cage, so he dropped down. Ipso facto, 3-way at Double or Nothing 2021. That was all carefully considered, mapped out. Each wrestler's win-loss record was sort of carefully looked after.
Pac and Cassidy go to a draw.
They went to a draw, hence, I thank you, supported my point, hence why they were inseparable, and that's why the 3-way happened. Like, one of the better built 3-ways, logic-wise, and worked. I have to say, every time I remember this match, I have to put over this spot. So the worst thing about a 3-way match, and I'll go back to my original point, the worst thing about a 3-way match is someone just gets sort of artlessly tossed outside the ring and then they sell for a few minutes, right? The best version of that ever was Kenny Omega gets the brutalizer applied to him by Pac in an instant panic and sort of a learned moment of, oh Christ, I know how I've worked out a way to deal with this, specifically in the context of this match, because that put me out with All Out 2019. So with Pac across his shoulders, he just walks, sprints backwards and dumps him out of the ring. So he's learned the lesson from All Out 2019 and allowed himself a sequence with Orange Cassidy because Pac has just been bumped on the outside. I love that. How this 4-way at World's End has come about is so WWE in its logic, which again is so ironic given that Jon Moxley is trying to restore AEW as this alternative that does things its own different, really good way. This is the most egregious example, but with it being so egregious, it's the first one that's popped into my head. WWE 2019, I'm not saying that they're exactly the same thing, however, WWE 2019, you're more WWE brain than I am.
He is, mate.
Yeah, I need him for this. Samoa Joe loses the US title.
Yes.
24 hours later, just beats up Kofi Kingston, and that somehow warrants him having a title shot against Kofi Kingston.
Exactly.
Hangman Page has just ruined a match in the Clean Finishers company, or what it used to be, what I think Jon Moxley is trying to restore. I know I'm all over the place, but I will forget. At some point in this show, maybe during the opener, Excalibur was kind of idly wondering aloud what Jon Moxley's problem was and what his motives were, because he's been very cryptic. He said something like, I don't know, does he just want people to be more violent in AEW, does Jon Moxley? This is Excalibur. Or does he want people to step up? Well, we don't know. He talks in riddles and all the rest of it, so God knows. But either way, surely it's not this that he wants. Hangman Page, who has been defeated on consecutive pay-per-views by Jay White, who's also in the 4-way match, ruins a match, which is meant to be a pretty sacred thing in AEW, because they wanted to do clean finishes, is now rewarded for ruining a match on TV with a title shot. And off the top of my head, he's defeated Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah.
Who, while a trios champion, correct? Is he? I don't know. I'm fairly certain he is. Still a trios champion. Yeah, he will be. He
Must be.
He got beat off Jay White on 2 consecutive pay-per-views. If you're going to book what is not a good match, a 4-way pay-per-view main event, the matches are invariably exciting because there are a lot of shortcuts, but it's not a good drawing it's not a great story, is it, a 4-way? There's very few great 4-way builds. They're just an excuse to do an exhilarating match with lots of near falls. That's what a 4-way is, basically. If they were going to do what is not a great match or a great selling point to begin with, at least have Hanger and Jay White go 50-50 across their program.
I agree, yeah.
So it's a similar thing to 2021, where and I thought 2024 was the new 2021, Tony, evidently not, wherein, all right, okay, well, they've both got a claim to be in this four-way match. I don't even know why Orange Cassidy's in it. It's just kind of that certain things, capital M, capital C, must continue. Why? Well, we've got 12 pay-per-views a month now. Like, pretty rough booking all around. Really. The Bandito thing was cool.
Bandito thing that went in between this was very cool. We go back to the Wild West. No collision cops to be seen here. But some
keeping an eye. We're keeping an eye.
Some other cowboys telling Bandito comes in on horseback, you're under arrest. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. And it seems like Bandito is surrendering himself, getting off his horse, taking off his cape. But then he lays out all four cowboys as well.
Cowboys.
The cowboys of the Cowboy stable. There was a 21-plex in there as well. Nice stuff.
I mean, it's silly and it's heightened, but I love it.
Not usually a fan of cinematic stuff, mate, but I like this.
Move on, mate.
Okay. Well, we go back to the arena where Christian Cage now has a mic. He's overlooking everyone, and he's not only literally, but figuratively looking down on the crowd.
Gunther said that on Raw, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Shut your mouths.
I think it's fine. That's not even worth pointing out. Maybe it's one of those things where he's just watched it.
Yeah.
And he's just, subconsciously thought, that sounded cool.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Did it sound cool?
Who knows? And that's cool. Who knows? And quite frankly, who cares? Don't know why I brought it up.
Cage said he's got a problem with the Fatal 4-Way at World's End, just like Sidge, but mainly with the people in the match. John Moxley's got what he wants. Orange Cassidy is a pissant. Jay White has unfinished business, and Hangman Page didn't do what he was supposed to do when they made a deal. He's going to rehab the AEW World title whilst forcing Moxley to go back to rehab, having a drink and all that.
It's Christian Cage.
And
in a weird way, that's a weird way to say weird way. In a weird way, he's made a rod for his own back because he kind of has to go to,
yes,
no pun intended, that place. Otherwise, he loses a bit of that heat and edge to the character.
Yeah.
I personally am not offended by that sort of thing. It's just a personal thing that you would never have said it in a million years without Mox's consent.
I was about to say that, yeah.
It's professional wrestling, goddammit. I'm personally not offended, but at the same time, I understood if other people were.
But as he goes to leave, he says one final thing, Cain's ass. But before he can fire off another zinger, we see Hook has appeared at the door of the suite. Blake breaks through the window, beats the hell out of Christian Cage. He's got his arm in a cast. He puts red rum on at one point. I was like, uh-oh.
Another murder attempt.
He tries to throw him off the balcony.
Right, okay. Idly, in the office yesterday, I'm working on a list.
It's really good, this list.
The WhatCulture Wrestling Alternative Year-End Awards. Hopefully by the end of the week that'll drop. One of the categories, spoiler alert, is Crime of the Year. Crime of the Year. Crime of the Year. And I thought, right, okay, well, we were sitting in the office.
Yeah.
And we said, or at least I pitched, next week on Dynamite, if we remember. Did it. Who's going to commit the crime watch? Who's going to commit this week's crime? And we thought, surely they've read and or listened to the criticism. They can't be killing people every week. They can't be attempting to kill people every week. Nope, Hook tries to kill Christian Cage.
New game next week.
So we've got a new game next week. We said if there was another one and they hadn't learned the lesson, if there's an attempted murder or a fracas that could end in a murder, then we're going to play the game next week.
It was the bit where I was like, how far have you gone in rehearsals for this? Because Christian Cage was like, stop pushing me. Trying to throw him off the edge of the balcony.
Crime, just normalised crime.
He chucks him through all the nice food that's been set up on the table. Oh, I do love the sweet food. We've been very lucky to go to the football in a suite once or twice, haven't we? They bring us pies at full time.
Yeah.
It's kind of our suite that we enjoy. And see your beloved Newcastle. Your son came with us once, didn't he?
He did.
That was lovely. Uncle Adam was in full effect there.
He still asked about you, Wilbourn.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Jack now, though. I'm scared of him.
Yeah, my son is jacked.
Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne show up to make the save, and Hook bails before they can basically get their hands on him.
Aye. They did something similar with MJF and Wheeler Yuta last year or the year before. That was cool.
It was cool.
More often than not, if it's not on the ring, I'll just quite enjoy it. No bad props here, I can recall.
No? Just an attempted murder.
Yeah.
Which, par for the course.
Par for the old cause.
AEW Wrestling. Come for the wrestling. Stay for the murder. Crimes baked in. You can taste it. Right, let's get to the C2 Gold League match between Claudio Castagnoli and Will Ospreay. Ospreay, no messing about here. Straight into a Spanish fly within seconds. A Sasuke special. Pip cheerio. He gets a 2 count. Wants an Oz cutter, but Castagnoli uppercuts him out of midair. But Ospreay manages to twist out of the giant swing into a roll-up for 2. They fight to the outside. Claudio tries to send him into the steps, but Ospreay clears them, drop kicks the steps into his legs. Tries to jump off, but again, Castagnoli counters him, catching him and slamming him against the barricade. There's a giant swing into the steps. He tips the steps over and traps Ospreay's arm between them as well and stomps on it. We go back inside. Castagnoli again hits a mid-air uppercut to keep control as we go to a break. When we come back, Claudio's got a sharpshooter, but Ospreay hits a springboard Hurricane Rana and a handspring corkscrew kick for the reset. There's also a suplex from Ospreay after a running boot and a sky twister press for 2. But he takes too long and misses the hidden blade, avoids the Ricola bomb, gets the octopus hold, but Claudio gets to the ropes, double stomps goes after the arm and then double stomps the back. Ospreay fights out of a superplex, tries a leap of faith, rolled through though and eats a Claudio uppercut to turn him inside out for a 2 count. There was an Os cutter hit here, but Claudio very wisely rolls to the outside. Back inside, again, a pop-up uppercut counters the hidden blade. He also hits that big lariat of his, but Ospreay kicks out of that. It's the first I've read to do so in the tournament. Claudio wants the neutralizer, but Ospreay gets a jackknife pin for the surprise 1-2-3. Post-match, Claudio's pissed off at losing, obviously, and rather than going to 9 points, he's still on 6, and Will's back on 6 now. Claudio attacks, hits a neutralizer, gets a chair, but Darby Allin makes the save with a baseball bat, as we're reminded that next week...
Oh, my God.
Thank you. We are getting Ospreay versus Darby Allin.
Yeah, I felt like because we're getting Ospreay and Darby Allin, that Ospreay's saving a few bums for that.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go at a minimum 19 minutes. I think they're going into that match with every intention of blowing the roof off the building. They've heavily advertised that one as the fixture to watch. They know what they've got with that match, and I feel like certain things were reserved in this one ahead of that one. Which I don't like. It's the C2. It's meant to be the G1, and the G1, the seminal G1s of the mid to late, well, throughout virtually all of the 2010s, you know? Like, the idea was, right, go absolutely ridiculously hard in this match, and guess what? You've got a night off with Yano. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Build, escalate. I never want to say it's a night off again. It's like, it's really insensitive to say that. But there was at least 5 gears. I know these two are capable of going up, and they didn't do it for whatever reason. I think I've made my, feelings clear on why that was. Even if this was like, the noises. I forgot about the noises, mate.
Oh, yeah.
These are the noises I made during this match. It was like, it's over. So that was my review. Like, as much as it was sort of definitely subdued, for a cynical reason maybe, I don't begrudge, especially on TV, like, he's going to blow you away on pay-per-view every single time, and maybe it's for the best that Ospreay, for his body and to make the big matches mean something, maybe he should be doing this sort of speed on TV, and the younger guys breaking through should be expressed. Now, you go and steal this one, Ospreay can work at 0.75, you know? Maybe it's TV, and part of the problem is there's just so much good stuff that good now feels quite good instead, you know? So I feel weird complaining about it, but there's an expectation that Ospreay himself has set. All that being said, minor disappointment of a match. I still loved the way that the transitions and how it all flowed together, how it was faithful to the idea of the tournament of Ospreay. Storytelling was strong. I'm going to go really urgent, balls to the wall, really quickly. I could do with not getting mauled by this beast for 20 minutes. So I like the storytelling, the way that they transitioned from spot to spot was just as stellar as you'd expect from a wrestler as incredible as Will Ospreay. Like the Oz cutter into the uppercut, and how it all led to the swing on the steps. It was all really, really, really well done, and it flowed beautifully, but it just didn't make me feel like a Will Ospreay match makes me feel usually. I will say one thing. You just forget how awesome he is at pretty much every single point. Even in, it was 3 3/4 stars, his worst match of the year, other than the Juice one. To be fair, Ospreay, I know that match with Allen's going to be amazing. If you look at the pattern that's emerging of, Ospreay in a C2, and it's not that good yet. Just you wait. That he's just waiting for this Derby match. The bit where he does that shin cross roll up move to, he's just like, he's the best technical wrestler on the planet, or one of them.
Yeah, it's not fair.
And he just doesn't even stay in that lane because he doesn't have to. He can do all the lanes. I'd like to see when I know I've said this, a plunder brawl.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see next.
Well, from Will Ospreay to Ricochet, he's backstage with Renee Paquette for an interview.
Ricochet. At least he's turning heel.
Yes.
But then he did this as a face, so who knows?
That's why he came to AEW for the competition. He's got Brody King later, who's big and bad and scary, but he's not Ricochet. They're both 1-on-1 in the Continental Classic. And then he pulls a Hurt Syndicate card out of his jacket pocket and says, I got all the cards tonight or something. And I was like, ooh.
Right.
Yo! And he's always like, woo! Or something.
I'm going to do the impression, mate. Don't worry. Don't worry. Here's the thing about Ricochet. He's always had this nerdy quality, even as a babyface, with no intention of turning heel. So I don't know if I should praise him for... He seems to be just dialing up that little button, that little dial of being really obnoxious and unlikable. But that's kind of what he is to begin with. But maybe he's just turning that dial just so to let you know, I'm turning heel, hate me. There's a bit of it in the match, which we'll get to. But again, this is a dude who's just not that cool to begin with, and I'm the authority on not being cool, so I'm allowed to say it. So he goes, let's just say I've got all the cards.
That's it. I was trying to remember what noise he made.
All the cards.
Keep
Brother.
doing that. You're going to be a heel. Keep doing that.
Yeah, but he's going to turn heel, so I'm thinking he's done that on purpose. But he would kind of do that as a babyface, thinking it was cool. I'll never know, man.
Do you remember the time he faced bloody Brock was it in Saudi? Maybe, I don't know.
It wasn't Saudi.
And they did a whole video package being like, why can't I be the guy to... Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead.
My least favorite. And again, it's that era of WWE. They all had to do it because they were, in a creative dictatorship. 2019. And he has this feud with Sheamus. And you can remember it was when Sheamus was first rocking that Peaky Blinders look.
Yeah.
And Ricochet stole his hat and coat.
I think so.
And he started going, dancing.
You can see Vince doing it.
We've talked about that Johnny Depp dance in Alice in Wonderland, and it's my biggest ick of all time.
Oh my God.
Ricochet thought it was cool.
Your notes in the cinema. MJF seen arrive into the building. Thank Christ he's out of that layer.
Well, good news and bad news, but we'll get to it.
He's got the beautiful diamond ring with him, of course. Recap of the whole Jericho Matt Cardona thing, of course. And then Renee Paquette's backstage with Cardona ahead of his title match at Final Battle. Says he's always ready, belongs in AEW. For the past 5 years, he's reinvented himself on the independent scene. After Jericho and Brian Keith laid him out last week, he wants Keith on Rampage to give Jericho a preview of Final Battle.
If he beats Brian Keith on Rampage, then he'll have all the momentum in the world to beat Chris Jericho at Final Battle.
Yep. I did like Brian Keith later. I do always love him with his little kick your ass when Jericho just hands in. You get 3 seconds. Make it worth it, Brian. Before the Undisputed Era match, Renee approaches Kyle O'Reilly, but gets interrupted by Taven and Bennett. He says, "You don't need to do this. MJF's making us look like idiots." Bennett said, "Relax, regardless of what happens out there, we're still going to be family at the end of the day." And O'Reilly said, "You should have thought of that before one of our brothers got hurt."
Everyone gets murdered on Dynamite every week, so that's I know I've been a little bit of a deadpan dude there, right? But this is why you don't do attempted murders every single week, because when you do a mere Pillmanizing of the arm or something, it's just these things don't scan as transgressions anymore. That's a wider wrestling problem. That is, everyone's seen too much, i.e., it's just the way that wrestling progresses.
Yeah.
But if you kind of take that kind of injury seriously, it means you're doing way, 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 way too much. And then when you have characters like the Kingdom talking about that transgression, to them it is.
Yes.
To them it is. Their mate has just had their arm busted.
Because he got involved in them other mates.
What they're saying isn't strictly untrue. It's just exceptionally hard to believe, and they appear to have no credibility as a result. And this all stems from this just wild, desperate, it's all intense and violent in AEW now. You do that too much, nothing really as difficult can be taken seriously. And then the characters trying to sell it as serious, they come off as total geeks who've got no credibility at all.
Well, it was Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly after that to see who heads to World's End to fight for the beautiful Diamond Ring. And there's a sort of respectful back and forth early on. Then O'Reilly needling him a bit. Fights him out to the floor. That takes us to a break. When we come back, O'Reilly rushes in but gets hit with a Cole super kick, who wants a Panama Sunrise but gets hit with the pump knee. But he fights back from a brainbuster, does Cole, and hit one of his own. He fakes a side kick, hits one low, but O'Reilly recovers and hits his diving knee from the apron. O'Reilly misses a diving knee back inside. Cole wants a super kick, but O'Reilly dodged. There's a soulbutt to the ribs. Cole doesn't go down. Desperation flying knee for the double down. There's dueling big boots. Cole hits a super kick. Big lariat from O'Reilly. Cole manages to make the ropes after get caught in an ankle lock. Cole headbutts out of a superplex and hits the Panama Sunrise, but takes too long. And again, O'Reilly cashed in with an ankle lock. Cole rolls through, sends O'Reilly to the floor. O'Reilly wants to brainbuster him on the outside, but eats a super kick. O'Reilly collapses as they go back inside. That allows MJF to run down to try and cheap shot Adam Cole, who ducks that and hits him with a super kick. O'Reilly schoolboys him, but Cole kicks out and gets an inside cradle for the 1-2-3. MJF storms off. Taven and Bennett come down to congratulate Cole, who offers a handshake to O'Reilly, who just brushes him off.
Good news is that they got dueling chants.
Yeah.
An invested crowd. Adam Cole looked a little bit sharper, and in stark contrast to that pretty disastrous match against Buddy Murphy, where Cole got his ass kicked, and, you know, the fans in that state of suspended disbelief or lack thereof just couldn't really buy the idea that he could come back and kick that dude's ass, right? Here, Kyle O'Reilly laying it in. Some of those kicks to the gut were like, oof. These two are close. They know how to work matches together. They've got this extensive history that we all know about. In stark contrast to the Buddy Matthews match, Cole took an ass kicking. Like, I love that leg sweep to the outside.
Yeah.
Like, took a really wicked bump. Did Cole to the mat. Kicks to the gut. You know, those forearms that O'Reilly throws, and fans believed that he was staying in the fight. That's progress. That's good. This got a reaction. It was nicely worked. I still didn't feel a great deal for it, and maybe I'm reaching, but it just felt like progress has been made. Fans started to believe in Cole, started to go with him a little bit more. And I don't know why the storyline has sucked ass, but regardless, a forgiving crowd, just appreciative of a nice little back and forth match. It was way better than I expected. It's still nowhere near what you might think in 2017, 2018. Oh, you know, it's a faction. We know how these things play out. They're eventually going to have a match. you thought it'd be way, way, way bigger than this, but I mean, it exceeded my expectations, but they were bedrock low. Offensive moment, one of two.
Oh.
That really pissed me off. Yeah, it's hardly a big hiatus. Like, MJF, air quotes, has been in AEW for ages. You know, he's been in pre-tapes, live, organically reacting in real time, definitely, to Adam Cole. So it's not strictly speaking this grand return. At the same time, if he's going to be making his live setting return, which for all intents and purposes he has to get his heat and kick Adam Cole's ass in an underhanded way, mind you.
Or I was hoping for some mic time.
Yeah, or some mic time, or anything that tells you the star's back, or a huge star is back. He comes in, the character botches his big interference spot. Cole's in it. He should at least do a beatdown. Or something. It just felt like, from botching the interference spot to whatever, you could have told me if I just tuned into this Dynamite, he's been there for 3 months.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, I could tell. It just felt like he'd been there for months. They've got this really suboptimal way of making it feel like these huge star wrestlers are just there doing stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And this is one of those moments, one of those examples.
So they were Adam Cole in winning this match means that, oh God, they fought at World's End last year, didn't they?
And now they're going to fight at World's End again. They didn't. The turn happened at World's End.
Who called that? Yeah, that's what I mean.
But maybe.
Who called that? FTR are backstage plugging Fight for the Fallen, quite rightly, for all the great that show does. They also put their names in the hat to be in the main event of that show. And invited the Death Riders to come over to Collision for a little chat.
Little powwow. Put him in a holding cell there.
Can't help but notice you tried to poison that boy.
That's a crime.
That's a crime.
But guess what? Crime's legal. Go on with your day, sir.
Crime's legal, but gonna have to punish you, boys. Here's 25 tickets to Collision. You and your significant others and their friends come along Saturday night for a little chat and to watch a lot of goddamn
professional wrestling.
Goddamn 20-minute professional wrestling matches. You want stuff in between the matches? Tough None of that on Collision.
If it was up to me, there'd be no entrances.
There to do your job. You're not there to pose on the goddamn ramp. What the hell do you think this is? Goddamn Rampage?
Ain't the f***ing fan.
You say, I left that town a long time ago. Let me tell
I
you.
ain't ever going back. I might tease it.
Sure, I'd take a picture with some tequila or a potential contract working there.
I'm just working the boys. You see, I'm just working the fans. You see, you don't know anything. I'm just a manipulator. Except I'm not. And you read into things that weren't there.
Do a 5-star chat? I'm wondering, Deputy Dash, because if you do, goddamn, we got a shot at it on Saturday night. I don't understand a goddamn word that man Mark says.
Nevertheless.
I'm excited to review this on Monday. And then we get the Jericho New York minute.
Where'd you hide the body? Where are we going to hide the body?
In them there hills? What hills?
Look, you killed her. We know you killed her. You sick Just save us a lot of time and just confess.
That's a reference to something. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Some Netflix documentary that we've watched,
Oh, was it? It's that one.
It's the one where the dude didn't actually kill her
It's
for
the
once.
one. Yeah, it's the one where the bloke wakes up with the maddest story.
Yeah.
Like a note that says, "Do all these things," or and the police are like,
one time it didn't end up in him killing her.
He's like, "So I've had this really traumatic experience, and I think they've got it." So you killed her, right?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No, you did.
I mean, almost always.
Yeah.
Almost always.
I'm watching a new one of those that you recommended to me, and I think I can tell the way this is going, boys.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. New York Minute with Jericho and...
In a New York Minute,
I like
things get a little strange.
Big Apple, Bad Apple. Nice bit of line there.
That's a bit of you, that.
Cardona must be upset they left him laying like a used Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figure. But
Because that's what Cardona likes.
Yeah, you like them, don't you, you loser? Yeah, he says Brian Keith, he'll be on commentary as Cardona faces Brian Keith on Rampage. There's also a contract signing on ROH. Calls Cardona delusional for thinking he'll walk out of the Hammerstein ballroom ROH World Champion. And Keith said Cardona made a mistake putting his crummy hands on Jericho. He's going to make sure he pays the price.
Yep, this is how AEW books.
This is how I like my...
I'm fairly certain Matt Cardona's going to win.
It's also how I like my Chris Jericho. A guaranteed only a minute. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
He's going to be on one way or another. I don't know if the wonderful Adam Blair, he teased...
I don't blame him if he's giving up this ghost.
He teased looking into this, and I thought, you work really hard and you already do stuff for us, and there's far better things to do, whether he's going to look into the amount of time Chris Jericho's been on Dynamite television compared to all women's matches.
Maybe it's like a 2025 project. It'd be easier to do in real time, I think.
Or get like AI, should be able to do it by...
No, we do not endorse AI on this podcast, Wilbourn. I'll kick your ass for suggesting it.
That's why we have the soundboard, just to keep ourselves unpredictable. You never know what's going to be hit on the soundboard. You know, you think you know where it's going, and then
No, dear, that's wrong.
suddenly you just cannot see what's coming next. You know, could be someone who's been murdered being reincarnated on the show. Never know, man.
You never know.
Tony Schiavone interviews Darby Allin.
Yep.
Earlier on in the day, he says his quest is never over. Death Riders are chipping away at everything that AEW's built. He talks about what they did to Bryan Danielson, the backbone of AEW. This is the first place many of the young guys have made a living in wrestling. It's going to keep happening. People think Darby Allin's reckless, and he punches himself in the face. All right, Darby. Makes himself bleed. Violence doesn't bother me. When Allen thinks of the Continental Classic, you think that's everything that's right with AEW. He's going to win the tournament. So what AEW represents is what he represents. Moxley thinks AEW needs saving when it's the company that gave his career a second shot and also allowed Sting to finish career on his own terms. Nothing fools yourself better than the lies you tell yourself. A really good promo from Darby, this.
This is really good. It's still a bit AEW. Passion. Just show me something. Show me something. Has anyone ever bladed a lip before?
I didn't know what the hell.
He's bladed his lip and he's opened it up. These guys are workers. It's fine. That just kind of caught me off guard. That did.
I've got my performance review at WhatCulture today. Should I do that in it? I'll bleed for this company. Oh, God. I'd be so... Oh no. Oh, I think I lost the truth.
Highly suggest not doing that.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind.
Yeah. No, it's the babyface version of the Moxley thing where delivery, brilliant. Authenticity, I believe in brilliant. Content, not so much.
Yeah.
There's such a great dynamic between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin of this killer who will stop at nothing and this guy who will just happily get killed and never stop. I mean, it's that version of irresistible force meets immovable object.
Yes.
But this warped way of approaching that old staple of one person can't die, the other person revels in killing. It's great. It's too tied up in AEW as an entity. Maybe they'll listen, maybe they won't.
We had what we described on the preview yesterday as a C2 6-pointer next. It was Ricochet having to go and get something at Brody King in the Gold League. Obvious story early on. Size versus speed. I mean, it's the story of the whole match, but Jesus Christ, they took it to the nth degree here because he just bounced off Brody King.
Brody King.
Attitude.
Yeah. I mean, he did have that, but also Brody King.
Oh my god.
I forgot to change the page. I apologize. Was that the attitude?
It's basically trying to. It was like, oh, okay, the good times are back. Let's flog anything with the Fed logo on it, and one of it was cologne.
That was it.
You take a name and the name and add a little taker and cane. It's like, oh my god, it's the worst crap. The worst. It's like, it's total ick stuff. Google Attitude Era cologne advert. Oh no. Well, if you want to hate yourself and die, do that.
I'm trying to find the. I feel like I wrote it down. I mean, it's there. It's on squared circle right there. Someone's written Austin 316 says I just smelled your ass. I had this. It was terrible. I sprayed it on a love note I was giving this girl I was trying to get with in high school. And she said, if you smell like that, I never want to be around you again. Right. I'll run through the match. Then as you give your thoughts on it, I'm going to see if I can find the exact, I was going to say promo they cut around the cologne. But yeah, he just bounced off Brody King. He's just awesome. We love him. He no-sells some chops. He just levels Ricochet with one. The barricade gets exposed. Ricochet flips off it and tries a Hurricane Rana. Brody King's like, no. Power bomb. There's a scream from Ricochet, which is quite entertaining in all this. And yeah, King crossbodies him against the barricade to take us to a break.
Oh my god.
Killed him. That was another attempted murder, but that one kind of makes sense.
Brody's allowed.
Yeah. Handspring elbow from Ricochet. Nope. Brody King catches him in midair and just release Germans him.
Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ, Brody.
I love Brody King so goddamn much.
And we say this is the second year in a row, isn't it, that we've gone, there's your star, right?
Yeah.
C2. Ricochet does come back, though, after Brody King yells at him. Ricochet does a wall walk, enziguri, a low bridge, and a springboard kick to send King outside. Does a Fosbury flop onto him. Sends King back inside. Picture perfect springboard 450. King kicks out one. I tried everything.
Oh my god.
He's built this aura for, what was it, 12 minutes or whatever? However long it lasted. Just his aura was bang, bang, bang. He almost did too good a job, but I'll let you do the recap first. Sorry, mate.
He rises back up. He's like, oh, bollocks. Huge lariat. Tries for a gonzo bomb, but Ricochet gets out of it with a roll-up. Some pump knees. King fights out of something, hits a corner splash and a cannonball. They fight on the ropes. Ricochet avoids a superplex into a sunset flip powerbomb. King, in the process, pulls off the turnbuckle pad. Huge shooting star press, but King just rises up and hits a rear naked choke. So Ricochet fights.
He clamps his hand on the throat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Ricochet wanted a springboard, but King just chops him out of the air. But as they're fighting in the corner, Ricochet hits the DDT on the exposed corner turnbuckle twice. Once is an accident, twice is deliberate. We know what you're doing there. And Ricochet hits a spirit gun, or two spirit guns, I should say, for the victory.
It's a good job he's turning heel. It felt to me like the reaction to the finish wasn't, oh, you're turning heel and we don't like you now, you prick. It felt like, I don't believe you're beating him here. They could sense, right, he's hitting his finish. And wrestling fans are smart. They know, right, this is the finish. This move's been protected. He's just introduced it. It did feel to me, the sentiment in the building, less, Ricochet's turning. We enjoy this. Let's get on board with the character, engage with the turn, and boo him. It really felt to me like a groaning rejection.
Yeah.
Of, no, don't be him. We like him more than we like you, irrespective of where we think your character's going. Yeah, it didn't really feel like the intended result of the finish. It felt like you meant to see flashes of the heel turn, but the babyface prevails, you know? I don't know, it just felt like, I could be wrong. I haven't spoken to anyone in the building, obviously. But it just felt like they wanted Brody King to win, and I can't blame them. The dude was almost too awesome in this match. So many, like, he killed him physically. It's Brody King. Everything he does looks tits. Like the released German counter was awesome. Various moments, like the crossbody into the chair, like everything he does physically always looks great, and he's a monster, and he's cool, and the entrance of the balcony, he just looks like he's the business. There was so many great bits of body language in this match where it's like he looks like he's a cinematic monster. Like the Goozle?
Yes.
That bit was awesome. But it was the specific choice he made when just standing firm for a crossbody where Ricochet bounced off him. It wasn't a case of, like, I'm powerful, you can't do that against me. It was more like a contemptuous swat of, what are you even trying that for, you little geek?
Yeah.
You little cringe geek. I'm Brody King. Just, this is Ricochet's best match since coming back. People go, they're 3-way at Wrestle Dream now. It was this. I'm sorry. This was absolutely sensational. And as I said, Brody King, almost too much of a theatrical badass in this match because I didn't believe that he would lose because he's too cool. He's too badass. I had a great time with this. So the points I wanted to cover here were physically, it's Brody King. Everything looks great. The body language choices were almost too good because he comes off as too cool and too much of a badass. And a big broad point here of he's made that connection with the fans. You have to do something of significance with Brody King. If you're looking at your various, it should be 2025, map out the whole year. This is how it should end. Let's work our way backwards. That's what Tony Khan should be doing. If he's not already doing it right friggin' now, we need to go with a long view here. Brody King should be factored in. He should be figured in because he's awesome. The problem with AEW, a lot of it, so much of it, most of it, stems from the fact that they sign too many wrestlers.
Yep.
And you have to accommodate them in various ways, and it becomes this mess that we're kind of in, and we're still in. The problem with having so many good wrestlers isn't just the way you have to accommodate them narratively, it's that it just causes so many untold problems. One of which is that, and I've made this point before, when I think Wardlow has the TNT title, right, as an example, 2022, and he has a couple of, they're okay defenses. What happens then is because you're booking so many wrestlers at once, with not a great hierarchy and a rotating cast, if someone has a blow-away great performance in this promotion where you emphasize great matches weekly, suddenly one of your champions doesn't feel that good to watch. Suddenly someone else, you have that curse of comparison throughout almost every single episode of Dynamite, and this has been in place for at least 2 years, even on the better weeks. Now, you have Hamflet, the little Fed Mark, talks about the million things that he likes from WWE, or the million directions that I could conceivably go. He's correct. I think million's a gross exaggeration, but I think deep down he knows. AEW has the opposite problem because of this absolutely ridiculously stacked roster that they have. They have a million directions that they can't go in, but probably should.
Yeah.
They could genuinely, this Brody King is so awesome, they could genuinely book the territory around him being a invincible heel world champion.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Yeah. He's awesome. He's awesome. And now when I know, all right, they're just saying this, and yet another ex-Fed rehab project is taking priority over him, I don't like that. Brody King's the feeling.
Yeah.
He certainly gives me the feeling. He certainly got the loudest. I think he had the loudest match last night.
At the barest minimum, because this is really like, if you're planning the year out, it's just like, that's the end of the year. What are we doing? Just say next year Brody King has to win the C2, and we'll put everything in position for whoever the champion is for it to work better. Like if it was a chicken.
He should be doing something so much more.
Yeah. Backstage private party are there. They get interrupted. I'll be honest, I didn't really pay much attention to this promo because I was fascinated by the coats that Alexandre and Leo Rush were wearing.
They're terrible. They're just these big foam spikes. I mean, it's douchey. It's good. It works. It works. Babyface Hangman Page.
Yeah.
Right on the crest of this comeback is the main character, Babyface. Hangman Page getting hung over the ropes by Brody King. He's not even himself. There's a monster who can do what he does better. Pay for the pay-per-view because he might actually come back and beat him.
Simple, isn't it?
That's Brody King rules, man. It's not just me.
No.
The buildings come up for him.
Look at him.
And they've got something huge in them, and I just think they'll overlook it.
So they're wearing the big coats, and they're going to fight the Martins for a shot at the tag titles, basically. That's what I took away from this.
Yeah.
Not a lot to say here. But following that, Renee is backstage with Anna Jay and Mercedes.
Money.
And thank God, Michael Sidgwick, both of them agreed to no physicality. So no one's getting put through any walls. No one's getting run over by any cars. It's the 200th day of Mercedes' reign. She's defended the title 10 times. She's got the Strong Style Evolved match coming up. Monet just shuts her up and says, hey, let's talk about what Anna Jay's accomplished. Going to Japan to train. It's cute what she's done at 26. Here's what I did before I even reached 26. She goes to leave, and Anna Jay's like, no, you're going to listen to what I've got to say. You are one of the best in the world, but I've made a living off being the underdog. All I need is 3 seconds to shock the world. And Jay walks off, and Mercedes says, we'll see about that.
It's fine. Again, Monet feels like dialed in. She's got a good way of trash talk around her now. It's very, very small gains, but another one was taken last night. Didn't electrify me, this, but just some good trash talk in both directions, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Better than a vehicle angle, certainly.
Or someone getting put through a polystyrene wall or whatever. We get a great video package highlighting the main event of the evening. It's the only women's match on the card, but it is the main event.
Yep.
I want to do this a weird way round because I want to end on the end of this show.
Yeah.
So before we get to the match, before we get even to the name of the game, we have to get to the aim of the game, Sid.
The aim of the game is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first note for the first woman to appear for the only women's match on the show, because 99 times out of 100, and that math probably checks out, and I just did it off the top of my dick, of which I have 5. Check out the NXT
You do, yeah.
podcast coverage
NXT review, Sid reveals he has 5 dicks.
on this feed. And we play this game where we try and guess the first time you hear that first note to the hour, minute, and second, because usually, not last night, evidently, usually falls right before the main event, and you're thinking, you wouldn't think that a women's division if you watch 75% of this show. That's a problem. And what is the basis of this problem? Is it Warner? Is it a directive saying, no, we don't want too many women on? No way. Or is it Tony Khan not caring about women's wrestling? Is it a combination of the two? Certainly there's a pattern. Without question, there's a problem. And it seems to me, given that they try and hide it, it goes, yeah, there's some women here, but you're so close to the main event, guys. You might as well stick around for the duration. Feels to me like, you know, some good progress this year aside, which was highlighted, illuminated at the end of the show. Still feels to me like, you know, it's just an exercise in optics so the Wokes don't kick off. That's what the women's division feels like to me. That's my cynical read. If you're thinking, buddy, Sidgwick, do you ever shut up? That's a mouthful. Could you jingleize that for me? I sure can. Here's my jingleization of what I perceive to be AEW's thought process in this regard. Don't worry, guys. When the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away. That's the aim of the game. And the name of the game is, well, this is ladies' night, and I'm thinking, oh, what a night.
We're getting a version of Jingleized Bells next week.
Yeah.
Right, Sid, you have the all-important information because, of course, thanks to the Panda Blair himself, Adam Blair, who was around these parts recently, at Adam Wilton 4, and Jose Palomares at Ho11, who always take care of the
data
for this sort of thing. Sid, what were our guesses in D?
Yeah, I'm never going to know. It's a shoot. I don't know.
No.
Michael Sidgwick, 1 hour, 20 minutes, 24 seconds. Adam Wilbourn, I don't know you from Adam. 1 hour, 43 minutes, 21 seconds. Michael Hamflett, 1 hour, 47 minutes, as flat as his heat.
Yeah, we should mention, in a real kind of shocking turn of events, Michael Hamflett's had a day off today. Definitely a bonus. This is literally why we put the ball on the board.
Say that again, mate?
Michael Hamflet has had a day off today.
You're joking. Not another one?
He assures us from now until Christmas, he's going to be here for most of it.
He's doing some nice things for his children.
Yes, like Christmas.
As am I this afternoon.
Oh, that's nice.
The nativity.
Well, Hamflet will have some good news when he listens back to this podcast because he's won this week's Ladies' Night. I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
During the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely son. I love you solo.
Yeah.
I really like you being a sheep. I wasn't a sheep, Dad. Whatever you were. Nativity. It's Angel Gabriel, were you?
I'm listening to Obsession for the 85th time this week.
So he moves on to 9 for the year, 4 for usage.
4.
14 for me in 2024.
Jesus Christ.
And thank you to the wonderful Panda Blair himself, Adam Blair, who sent me
John Moxley's lost more than I have won.
Who sent me a new trophy. I should have put it up. I'll bring it next week. We can put all of our trophies on this side of the desk.
Yeah. That loser ain't done nothing.
Tell he's a goddamn fedhead. Huh? Not even close.
Not even close.
It's been a very much our jam this week in the office, me and Sidge. If you know, you know. Right, main event time. Yes, Mariah May, Mina Shirakawa for the AEW Women's World Title. No messing about. Slugging it out straight away. Slaps May. As a figure 4, May rolls to the ropes, but Shirakawa just holds it on and they both fall out to the floor. Shirakawa gets sent into the steps and the barricade. Thunder Rosa's there with, by the end of the show, a variety of signs. But this one said Mariah May was not her champion. There was a drop kick on Shirakawa into the barricade. May gets back in the ring and just mocks her. May went for a punt kick off the apron, but Shirakawa blocked it and slammed May's leg into the post and put a figure 4 on. As we go to commercial, you know he's in control, don't you? Mina Shirakawa. I forgot to do that earlier, so I'd do it here.
It's the law.
May takes back over, but takes too long, kiss of death, and allows Shirakawa a springboard kick. There's a forearm battle. Shirakawa hits a rolling elbow. May comes back with a headbutt. But as Shirakawa's going down, desperation back fist for a nice double down. The crowd are loving Mina, of course, here. She drop kicks the leg, backdrop suplex for 2, goes to the ropes, but May hits her handspring head scissors. There's a rolling neck breaker come back from Shirakawa and a draping top rope DDT for 2. But May pulls her into the ropes, hits 2 pump knees, hits Mayday, but Shirakawa kicks out. Big pop from the crowd. May wants Mayday. Shirakawa turns it into a crucifix bomb for 2, though. And there's a middle rope sling blade from Shirakawa. She wants the glamorous driver. She hits it, but Mariah May kicks out, and May hits a headbutt and a snap. Storm 0 for the 1-2-3 to retain the world title.
I had a really good time with this because I'm into the story. I'm appreciative of how much effort they've put into this one. And I'm into the characters, and they clearly wanted to have a great night, and elements of it were great. Like, Mina Shirakawa can run hot and cold. But she did that sort of springboard kick. She really planted May in the head. I appreciate that extra endeavor. I don't think this was a great match.
No.
I don't think it was a great match. So in a great match, what you ideally want is the first pinfall, kick out belly at 1, and then 2.1, 0.2, 0.3, and you want every near fall to feel closer than the last. Mina Shirakawa did this awesome 2.97, and then you want Mariah May to do that 2.99, and you want to feel breathless, but she did I don't know, she threw that shoulder up too early. I don't know if it was nerves.
Do you have the same thing as me? Not necessarily related to this match. Do you have the same thing as me, where it's not the ick necessarily, but I think, I've never done this, so I can't critique it really. But it always frustrates me when I can see a wrestler looking at a referee. Or
I've trained myself to tune it out.
Or the other one is, and I think it's probably like Rich Holland or something. There was someone on Deadline doing it. You're laying across me to pin me, and they start putting their hand in position to push them off. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But I get it. Maybe I should just start... Not necessarily related to this match.
Yeah.
I just mean, sometimes I'm like...
No. It's good that you've got standards. You should have more.
I probably should, yeah.
Realistically. So it feels like pedantic, but I think Mina did such a good job of her big near fall kick out of the match. You have to keep building, otherwise you'll lose at the finish. And they kind of lost at the finish.
Yeah.
I thought that Storm Zero kind of came out of nowhere.
It was, yeah.
Maybe it would have felt like, skin of the teeth escape, especially when she just kicked out at 2.999. Ad infinitum. Excalibur's kind of doing my head in. I'm sorry, mate. But yeah, I just think it just rushed that finish a little bit, and there was a lack of composure in the last 1 or 2 minutes here.
It's weird because they've done overruns a lot, obviously. So I assume it wasn't them saying we need to.
I'm glad he brought that up because they've done overruns, but when you're starting at 147,
Well, yeah.
and there was a bit of a rushed quality.
Mate, they were starting at 152.
Yeah,
Panda
it just,
Blair.
because it started at 152 and through the course of fast forward, and I'm watching on delay. Maybe it's different if it's live. I still think that late start, people realize they're not in for this 20-minute, go out there and kill it classic, you know? It's an angle alert. But because I'm watching it on a sort of delayed, that's probably not the word. Like, whatever. I'm watching it after it's happened. Pre-recorded or whatever. There's a word. It escapes me. I'm tired. And it's starting at 152 or whatever it is, and it's not the biggest overrun. You're thinking, all right. And I'm not saying you can't have a great match you can have a great match in 2 minutes. Kenta Ricky Marvin, if you know, you know. But with the way that AEW matches tend to go, it's going to feel a little bit compressed. And this felt compressed.
Yeah.
And it felt like a backdrop for something else. That something else happened. Before you recap what happened, actually, no, recap what happened.
Okay,
So I'm going to remember something for once in my godforsaken life.
You had a great tweet about this, by the way, at Sidgwick. I saw that this morning. I was like, it's so spot on because we were talking a lot about like what. Well,
my other tweet was, the reason why I love Brody King so much is that as much as I don't like this John Moxley meta direction or whatever it is, I understand where he's coming from, because when I'm watching it, I'm begging people to show me something.
Yeah.
Begging people. And then Brody King shows me something.
Yeah.
Ipso facto, make him the top heel.
So Mariah May celebrating with her world title when Who's music hits. But Toni Storm, and not just Toni Storm's music, but Toni Storm's old music. And she comes out in her original gear. No more timeless stuff here. Mariah May can't believe it. You can see Storm's just ecstatic to be back. She's fighting back the tears. The nice cut to Thunder Rosa. As I said, she had a variety of different signs. WTF?
I hate that. But
I can understand why some people might have been wound up by that. And Nigel says that May is being haunted by the ghost of Christmas past to end out this show.
I'm delighted for Toni Storm's return and the pop she got.
It's good. I was fully convinced she was retired. If she's back now, that means I'm not sure if Bryan Danielson's ever going to be fully retired.
Indeed. Thunder Rosa can see the future. Why did she have a sign saying WTF? Why did she have signs in the first place?
It did a bit.
Would you see that in peak 90s All Japan or 2010s New Japan? Or, you know, vintage era Crockett? Stop doing lame, please. You know what I mean? It's like there should be, and I will volunteer for this job, which is dangerous ground because Bully Ray earlier this week volunteered himself to be head booker, and you think, you loser. Who's ever gonna hire you? He said he should be because he
What, for AEW?
Yeah, loser. I don't
just wrestled for NXT about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. There should be. You can dress up the title as you want. Script consultant.
Yes.
Something like that. But basically the job is, will people who like good stuff call us lame for doing this? Yes. So don't do it. Okay, we won't do it. I'll volunteer for that
The
job.
script pedant.
The script pedant. No, just basically the regulator of lame.
Filter, isn't it?
Yeah, the lame filter. The lame filter.
The lame filter.
I've been funny. Like, I'm not up there with these ball knowers who, you know, Young Bucks best tag team of the past few years. I think you should watch the Astronauts. Like, I just don't want to be that kind of wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So I'm far from the coolest wrestling fan. Can I shock you? I quite like some of the being the elite melodrama. I'm sorry, I've got lame tastes sometimes. I still know what's going to scan as. I don't believe that. People are going to think that's lame. That's contrived. If she had that sign written out. It means it's all fake. Going through that plasterboard wall, people are going to think that's lame. There needs to be a sounding board. And the problem is, it's that WWE thing of, it's Tony's company. If you just say no to him enough times, he's probably going to get annoyed at you. Let's not fight that battle. Collect the paycheck. Oop.
Yeah.
Let's go home. But there needs to be someone who can be there and stick their neck out and say that's lame, that's fake, that people are going to think that sucks. Okay, well, we just won't do that idea. Someone needs to have that job. I don't want it. I love this. I love Saturn.
And whilst we're pitching to AW, let me tell you, Tony, you're looking smooth AF.
That was the worst thing ever.
Road Dog?
Yeah, what a piece of absolute I will say...
Your tweet about this.
My tweet about this is that... and it's so impressive considering what an out there, affected, heightened, however you want to describe a gimmick, persona, timeless Toni Storm was. She was, in fact, so committed to and believable in the role as timeless Toni Storm that now when she comes out wearing... This is anti-Painmaker. This is how good this goddamn stuff is, right? When she comes out wearing the 80s rock chick wild child Toni Storm gear, the leather and the little paint. In 2024, when she comes out wearing that now feels like the gimmick.
Yeah.
That now feels like the affectation she's putting on when 2 years ago, you would just say, that's not a gimmick. She just like 80s music and she's wearing something like that. You would never in a million years consider that a gimmick.
No.
A gimmick in the old-fashioned sense of the word. Now, because she's mastered this incredibly difficult timeless deal, when she came out, I was like, oh, that's a gimmick.
Yeah.
She's managed to do what Chris Jericho spectacularly failed to do as the Painmaker. You could even say, in terms of him trying to do the Mick Foley, Kaiji Muto thing, not even close is what Chris Jericho came as the Painmaker.
Yeah.
Toni Storms did it. You'd never I know I've said this. It bears repeating. 2 years ago, that's a gimmick. You think, no, it's not a gimmick. It's just an outfit.
It's her choice.
It's just an outfit, really. It's just Toni Storm who wants to be a good wrestler and she listens to 80s music. That's not a gimmick. That's just, a look.
A representation of her personality, yeah.
Yeah, it's a look at best. It feels like a full gimmick now because that's how good and believable she was as timeless Toni Storm.
I'm ecstatic she's back.
I still think she'll be, I think she's doing the Muto.
Yeah. I think, there'll be flashes. I hope there is, because I don't want that to be
too much of a money maker. Too much of a money maker. And let's just say I have anecdotal evidence that this timeless Toni Storm thing is too good to let go, and I will reveal all later.
And not only great to see Toni Storm back, and obviously back in the top. I don't know how I feel about her being back, because you're sort of like, I thought Thunder Rosa was next. I guess we're just signposting there's only going to be one winner there.
Yeah, so World's End, Thunder Rosa, Mariah May, and then we get to Grand Slam Australia.
Makes sense.
Where,
there's no great
Grand
surprise.
Slam Australia, of course. Toni Storm will have all of Brisbane
all of her friends would be there and cheering her on.
Yeah, in contrast to Mariah May.
Got no f***ing mate.
Yes, I love it so much.
But I will say, great to have Toni Storm back. Great to see this is, like you say, the direction they're heading towards for Australia. But also, this has not been like sometimes people have title reigns and you're like, ugh. You had like the big win where you took it away from the person, and then the big bit where the person came back, and then just some stuff in the middle. I think Mariah May's been really good.
Yeah, after a really wonky start, she's been a credit to the title. Wish she'd been booked in more higher profile roles, but she's done a lot with what she was given.
Exactly. But great to see Toni Storm back. Let us know your thoughts on that and the whole show. All of winter is coming. In the comments or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow both of us. You follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. And make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. I've just remembered what we're doing tomorrow. We might do a Collision preview, but in all likelihood, we get distracted
do something else.
by trends on social media, and I've stumbled across one. I might send something out for a little bit later on today at Adam Wilbourn on X, because we've got something planned. But yeah, lots to look forward to regardless. Subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Michael Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.